Namaskar, good evening. A very warm welcome to all of you on behalf of Crystal Minds Kolkata and Crystal Conversations. Today is our fifth episode of Crystal Conversations, and we are delighted to have with us three very, very special guests. First, we have Madam Runa Chatterjee, who is the headmistress of the Heritage School. Namaskar, Madam. Welcome to our show.
Namaskar.
We have Pradeeps Poem, who is just a class 12 pass out of the Heritage School. Hello, Pradeep. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so
And
much.
we have Anamika Jain, who is also just recently passed class 12 from the Heritage School.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure, Anamika, and I'm sure the guests will realize the value of having both Anamika and Pradeep with us today, because we are discussing a very important topic. We know this is the first pandemic of this century, an event unprecedented in the magnitude and the scale of impact it has created. But for most importantly, it's the children who have been in their homes for 4 months, for whom they've been taking their final hurdles of board exams, not knowing what is in store tomorrow, what news they'll be expecting. So how did these children who just were taking their board exams, and when the middle of it, right at the back of it, the bells rang and said, lockdown, whole India. So we will hear the real true life tales from the children who have completed the exams successfully and are now moving on to the next threshold of their career. And we also have exemplary examples and tales and anecdotes from the teachers through one of the most reputed schools in Kolkata. Mrs. Chatterjee will be sharing with us how the teachers and the children overnight boarded this tele-schooling or the online schooling. So our guests are very welcome today. And now it is my honor to hand this over to our host for this evening, none other than the co-founder of Crystal Minds, Dr. Rima Mukherjee. Thank you, Rima.
Thank you, Rajashree. A very good evening to Runa ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. We are extremely fortunate to have you today at Crystal Conversations, and along with your students, Prathit and Anamika. So we have all been hearing about the online classes, and except for those who are actually either teachers or students or parents who are directly involved in the online education system, a lot of us keep hearing about it, but we really don't know what is the actual challenges that you all had to face, during this lockdown, especially when it was happening in the middle of the board exams. So my first question is that as soon as the lockdown was announced, what are the, I think there's an echo. Okay, so what are the challenges that you as a headmistress of an educational system, school like Heritage, what are the challenges that you had to face as soon as you heard about the lockdown? How did you go about setting up these online classes in school?
It was March 22nd and it was lockdown suddenly being announced. And with life being flipped upside down by this virus and the call for social distancing, creating an extremely challenging environment for the students, teachers, and the parents, Team Heritage, I think, fought back with determination and a positive mindset. Eventually, however, I know life will return to a normal. When that time comes, online learning, I believe, will also become a part of the hybrid learning, which we have started. Now, the rapid spread of this COVID-19 has demonstrated the importance of, building resilience and to face the different threats, from the pandemic diseases to the technological issues which we face every day. But of course, the pandemic is also an opportunity to remind ourselves of the skills that we need and that our children need, to survive in this unpredictable world.
Absolutely.
And we want them to be informed, decision-making, creative, problem solving, and the most important skill that we want to give them is adaptability. So, we all started working on this skill, that is adaptability. And, to be more, to go more into the details, what we started doing was, naturally all our teachers, it was just, it was something that we did not know. So, but we all stood firm. We learned day in, day out. We took training online. We started with Zoom, and then we realized that no, there are better platforms. So we went to Google Classroom, and then we took intensive training. We had our IT department, then we had certain teachers who are extremely proficient. They learned and they helped us to learn. And believe me, I believe, us that, we've been also successful today in conducting online examinations, which we are terming as formative assessments, where teachers are doing, online invigilation, they are correcting. I mean, it's mind blowing what the teachers have done today, And since it is heritage school, I would also like to tell you that, we also kept in mind the students' well-being, their mental health and their physical health. So, between the online classes, we gave them brain breaks, if I can call it that, So these included, yoga. Then we had activity classes where the children got training in dance, in martial arts, in mime. And, and then we ended the day possibly sometimes with a games period. Then we had our prayer songs. We thought we should not let the children feel that they're out of school. I know if they are out of school, but we tried to give them as much as we could, the flavor of the school. I know it's difficult, but then we all tried, and the children have, supported us. I cannot tell you how they have all supported us. They've all adapted to this system. We're all working together. And of course, the parents, I must, mention them also.
Of
So
course.
this is how we've been carrying on. And well, it's embracing the new normal, and I think we are doing it.
Yes, I think one of the things that even what you mentioned is that there was anxiety about suddenly, getting into a digital platform of education. And
Yes.
I know that, a lot of teachers are like, I mean, for example, I am technologically anxious. I mean, anything to do with technology. So I'm sure there were a lot of teachers out there who were, like doctors, teachers also, they need to be out there, interact with the students and see them face to face and interact with them. I mean, that's what your fun, that's the fun that you get out, the satisfaction, seeing them in the real world. First of all, would you say that there were a lot of teachers who felt very anxious about this whole,
Yes.
I mean, can you sort of, what were some of the anxieties that the teachers faced vis-a-vis form of teaching?
Yeah. The first anxiety was, of course, the connectivity.
Yes.
There were huge issues with connectivity, and especially with the Amphan coming in, then we were deeply in trouble. But
Absolutely.
however, we survived. We tried hotspot. We did, some of the teachers got 2-3 connections. So somehow or the other, they managed. And the second anxiety, if I may say, was, suddenly being at your home, exposing your home to the world, and, and having 30 or maybe 40 parents overlooking your children while you're teaching them. So that is,
Yes.
of course, a great challenge. And they have overcome that with time. But of course, initially it was a challenge.
I think you raise a very important question here, is that certain boundaries were being crossed.
Yes. Yes.
The professional boundaries were being crossed. The parents are looking into your house and you're able to look into the student's house. So, I mean, a lot of mystery surrounding a teacher, that was kind of lost here. So I'll come back to you after interacting with your students here. So, hello, Pradeep and Anamika. One of the things that we all, when we appear for our class 12 boards, one of the things that we all do is plan what we are going to do just after the exams, once the boards are over. So here, suddenly, in the middle of the board exams, or just with maybe 2 or 3 exams left, you were told there's a lockdown. So what was your first reaction on hearing this?
I clearly remember this day. It was the day of my sociology exam, and I had just finished studying. I had just finished revising, and I had put my books down. And that's when I got a call from Luna ma'am herself, and she said, your exams aren't going to happen anymore. And my nervousness and my adrenaline were at a peak level at that point of time. And then to be suddenly told that your exam is cancelled, it really frustrated all of us. It disappointed us and it frustrated us. And we didn't know what to do after that, because from that point of time, that's when the uncertainty started. We didn't know how to deal with the situation and what to expect afterwards. So that day was confusing. It was frustrating for all of us. I remember talking to all of my friends and we were all sharing the same feelings. So so that's how I felt the day I heard this decision.
Right. And what about you, Pratik?
Indeed, ma'am, the day was very, as Anamika said, that the day was very anxiety provoking, that there is an uncertain situation, whether the exams will happen or not, or when will they happen, were the two main questions that were keeping around and around in my mind. And I was literally in a state where I was keeping on thinking about the exams, and considering that I had just prepared to the T for my sociology exam, and suddenly a minute before I'm about to step out of my home, I hear my exams are being cancelled. It was definitely very anxiety provoking, and thinking about the future was very stressful at that point in time.
Okay. So how did you, again, this question I'll ask both of you, during this entire uncertain period where you weren't sure that when the exams are going to be held, whether it was going to be held, what do you think helped you survive this, or what was the message that you were giving to yourself in order to be able to hang in there and maybe continue studying? What was it that you were doing at that time?
So during the weeks before the lockdown got extended, there was so many uncertainties surrounding us about whether the exams would happen or not. So I was studying a little bit on the side every single day and revising to make sure that I was prepared for anything. And I was telling myself that this is something that's not in my hands. I can't control it. So it's no point getting anxious or getting stressed about it. I personally am not someone who gets stressed very easily. So I took each day as it came. And I studied a little bit on the side, and I kept myself busy by doing online courses and by doing other stress relieving activities that personally work for me, so that I could keep myself busy and I wouldn't be idle and stressed about the things that I couldn't control, like whether the exams would happen or not.
Right. What about you, Pratik?
For me, ma'am, immediately after the exam for about an hour or so, the stress prevailed. But then after that, as I thought that this is something we cannot control. And so somewhere in my mind, I had the fact that maybe the exams wouldn't happen. So I thought that this is a crisis. Why not turn this crisis into an opportunity? So at one hand, I started to prepare myself even more and more about the examination I had at hand. And on the other hand, the books I had planned before the examination started that I'll read after the examination, I got on with those books and I started getting on, because I thought that there's no point in getting down and letting time go.
Okay. So I'll come back to Runa ma'am. See, especially with those appearing for the board exams, it was a very big disappointment for them. And I really liked what you talked about right at the beginning about resilience and adaptability. So did the school sort of, were the school teachers, or you sort of talking to the board candidates? Was there any kind of interaction to help, any kind of hand-holding to help them through? Could you just talk about that?
Yeah, we did a lot of hand-holding for the children, because we knew they were they were most exposed to this uncertainty which was around. So we did a lot of talking to our children, especially our class teachers were there with them, all the time. And we at the Heritage believe that, we are with our children all through the day, even at night, at sometimes we get calls at about 1:30, for certain anxious.
Okay.
Yes, we do. And our teachers do entertain these calls and they take it up. So the children, we felt that we should be helping them out. Moreover, our principal had 2-3 sessions with the children, to tell them that whatever was happening, people were there to guide them, to think about them. And then there was a webinar which was, challenges for the imperceptible, which was coming up. So with the webinar, we had our life skill, we had our school counselors talking, our principal was there. And
Okay.
we had it for our parents and the senior children. Then we had a webinar with our alumni who spoke about, the career, how they should prepare now. So, somehow we were trying to handhold them and take them forward, because even we were not sure as to what was going to happen.
Yes,
And then with the
absolutely.
council coming up with, do you want to give the exam or do you don't not want to give the exam? That was another challenge. So children got more confused. So anyway, what happened was for the best, and they all did well. We are so proud of them. And these two kids are one of our brightest children. They are they are not only academically focused, they are they have a lot of other things to do, and I think they will do a world of good for themselves. Both are
Uh,
very, very talented.
that's yes. Rajashree is going to be telling me, telling showing a few snippets of their talents, and we also have heard that you are very talented. So Rajashree, are you ready to
Yes,
show
I think,
something now?
yes, thank you, Rimadi, because
Yes.
as we heard, when times are uncertain, when times are volatile, when times are ambiguous, and when things are complex, there are certain things in us that prepare us to build our resilience, our hope, or adaptability. And one of those things is like pursuing a creative hobby, a creative activity. And the reason we wanted our audience to, to be part of this creative talents of our speakers is to say, things don't build overnight. We have to prepare ourselves. Hopefully, crisis will not come. But if crisis does come, then you must be prepared to run that 100 miles race. So, Runa ma'am is a very talented singer and a dancer. If you go to YouTube, Runa ma'am and Ushashi ma'am, both from Heritage, with a couple of their friends, have been releasing certain videos. At this age, they're doing these videos just not only for themselves, but as an inspiration. So she's also a very good dancer. But today she has agreed to perform live for us. So, ma'am, if we are fortunate to hear a couple of lines, and then we will hear some other talents from you after your song. Over to you, Runa ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for your praise. I don't know whether I'm worthy of it, but I will try to sing a few lines because I believe in this song. So I want to share that those lines with you because I believe in dreaming, and I've never stopped dreaming. And I always tell my children that please dream, because unless you dream, you can't do anything. So let me share a few lines with you. I have a dream, a song to sing, to help me cope with anything. If you see the wonder of a fairy tale, you can take the future, even if you fail. I believe in angels, something good in everything I see. I believe in angels. When I know the time is right for me, I'll cross the street. I have a dream. I have a dream. A fantasy to help me through reality. And my destination makes it worth the while. Pushing through the darkness, still another mile. I believe in angels, something good in everything I see. I believe in angels. When I know the time is right for me, Across the stream, I have a dream. I cross the stream. I have a dream. Thank you.
That was so nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
ABBA, and it was my favorite song when I was growing
Absolutely.
up. And you sung it so well, and it is so appropriate. I have become a huge fan of yours.
Thank you.
Really impressed.
Thank
And
you.
it was such a wonderful song to choose. I'm really, really happy. So
And yes, and ma'am,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
help children to dream. And
Yes.
as a result, you've also been a student care expertise. And you've laid emphasis on psychological and career counseling, along with principles of student leadership and team building.
Yes.
So you've already spoken, or through said and unsaid words, a lot about your leadership skills as you had mistress of heritage, inspiring thousands of children. But if you would like to share certain specific examples of one or two incidents in your 30 years of career in teaching that you have really valued your student leadership programs within the children's schools.
I believe in giving every single child a chance. We don't really understand their potential till they are in the front of the what they want to do. So, instead of picking and selecting, I believe in giving everybody an equal opportunity. And the most important thing which I believe is listening to them. If you listen to them, half your training is done. That is the thing that children want, a compassionate ear, an empathetic heart, and you hold their hands through their school life so that, they turn out into well-thought individuals. They are strong to face the world. And I believe that takes care of everything. You have to be with them, you have to love them, and you have to listen to them. I think that those are my core mantras with which I deal with the children. That is, I think, what I want to share.
Yes, I think that this feeling that every child is important and not just the ones who are doing well. I think sooner or later this child will blossom. If somebody shows that trust in me, there will be, we remember our mentors throughout life. And I think that if there is such a mentor at the school level, I mean, they take you through all the struggles, life suffering, because we remember that mentor, and maybe what that mentor has said, when we're going through crisis. So I think you have raised really, a very beautiful, nurturing thought, for the students. So,
Ma'am, and one point I would like to just reiterate that, I'm very lucky that in Heritage School, we teachers and, everybody in Heritage School, we share a very, very special bond with our children. I can't explain it in words. It is there maybe in our souls, in the blood that runs, through our veins, but we do share a very, very special bond with our children. And I think that is what I cherish.
That's very good. That's really nice. So I think one of the things I would like to ask you is that initially, as you mentioned, that when you started the online classes and what it is currently, it has evolved quite a bit from what I can gather. So at the very initial, from the very initial days to now, what are the things that have changed in the online system?
Ma'am, I did not get you because it was echoing. Can you just tell me once more the last part of the question?
Okay, basically interactive. Why is it echoing? Basically, when you started the online classes just at the beginning of the session, like just after the lockdown, and from that, I guess the online classes have evolved greatly. I mean, they have changed quite a bit. So what are the changes that have taken place from then to now? Like you were saying that even the exams have been held. And I was hearing from Rajashree how it was being related, I was really impressed. But initially, what were the problems which the teachers faced? And like you mentioned, connectivity problems, etc.
Yes,
So
yes.
how has it evolved, like from the beginning till what it is currently?
See, beginning, actually, naturally, the teachers weren't trained to do such classes. So what we took small steps at a time, and we started doing our classes on Zoom. That is for the senior classes, maybe from 9 to 12. And for the primary and the pre-primary and the middle school, what we started with was we started sharing, PowerPoint presentations and worksheets, and YouTube links were given to them.
Right.
By that time, the teachers started getting trained to take online classes, live classes. And we had a whole lot of workshops on Google Meet. We had Google Attendance, how to do a grid view. Daily, we had training sessions from 3 to 5 p.m. All teachers across the school, they joined. And we had troubleshooting sessions also, where our IT department had 1 hour allotted for everybody for their troubleshooting. Then we had workshops on Google Forms. Then we had workshops on how to do MCQ questions. So by and by, one step at a time, we were coming. And then we did training on, then our principal said, let's do our formatives. Initially, we thought maybe how do we do it? But yes, we believed in ma'am's conviction, and we all took our trainings, and every teacher gave his or her 100%, and they got trained in online corrections. Initially, it was a dream how to do it. But today, everybody is doing online corrections. We are doing attendance on Google Forms. Then we are doing our full-fledged formative assessments. We are doing it in 2 hours, so that even if there's a network issue, we are giving a gap. And, we are having our admission interviews. We are having admission tests. And our teachers are using Jamboards. So, everybody is evolved. It's a digital transformation. And it's so good to see this transformation, And in fact, we've had our first inter-school digital online MUN also, that is Model United Nations.
Okay.
And it was a huge success, yes.
That's fantastic.
Yes, and we are planning on our fest. We've just, postponed the dates because of the examinations, but we will do it the children are planning it in a very, very big way. Let's hope for the best.
Okay. One of the questions, this is out of curiosity, and because we get a lot of cases, is that they turn on, while doing these online classes, they switch off the video and they're doing some other kind of activities. So what does Heritage School do to ensure that there is student, are you seeing all the students all the time during the class, or what is the methodology that you are following?
Initially, we uploaded our discipline policy regarding online classes. We shared it with all our children. We shared it with our parents. And Anamika and Pratit would agree, we have a very, very strong prefectorial body. They help us in any kind of, problem or issues that we face in school. So we did have issues. And, the prefectorial body, we had, online meetings with them, disciplinary meetings with the children concerned. We brought certain parents, and of course our class teachers are connected to the parents via WhatsApp groups. We have mail, so immediately they call up, or immediately they send a mail to the parent that your child is not attending or the video is switched off. And our parents have been so supportive, I can't tell you. They call back immediately, ma'am, there is a network issue, or I am traveling, or something or the other. But thankfully, we've been able to control this kind of disciplinary problems. We have a disciplinary body, and our prefectorial team is there. So we are somehow handling these issues. Of course, there will be cases, since this is an online thing, and during the examinations also, we've had issues, but not something that which was very serious. We did handle it, and mostly, by counseling. That is what we believe in. We speak to the children, and the parents also are supportive. So we somehow come out of it.
Okay, that's really great. Okay, so now I'll come back to Prathit and Anamika. Prathit, during this period, okay, so Prathit, what I want to ask you is that during this uncertainty period, when you were at home, and you said you started reading books and you started doing some of the things that you were planning to do after your exams anyway. So my question to you is, Like there must have been times when you felt very down or you didn't feel great. So who was your support system? What did you do, like apart from keeping yourself occupied or maybe keeping in touch with studies, but who was your support system during this time?
Right. Ma'am, my first support system as such was my mother, who was constantly behind my back always. Whenever I was down, she was like, maybe the exams don't happen, or making me realize that probably we cannot control the situation. So she had been an immense support system for me throughout the whole period of time, whenever I felt down as such. And with regard to activities that I wanted to do during this time, whenever I felt that anxiety is getting out of hand or I'm feeling too low, I am a very spiritually oriented person. So I used to sit down and get on with meditation and get on with my spiritual routine. So this is how I chose to combat my anxiety when I used to feel too low at times.
Great.
That's really nice to hear about the spirituality bit. And I think somebody who starts this early, I think you really have, you're very clued on and you know what to do in crisis. I'm really, really impressed because I hardly come across boys at your age who are sort of into spirituality. So thank you for sharing that, Prathit. Now I'll go to Anamika. And though I can't see her, but anyway, she must be here. So Anamika, who was your support system during this period when you felt frustrated or you felt really down? What were the things that you did? Like Prathit had mentioned, he had gone on to read his books and spirituality. What did you do?
So my support system was definitely my parents and my family at first, because along with the stress of the uncertainties that was surrounding me about the exams, I could see how my parents were also going through the stress because they're both doctors. So they were also going through the stress of the COVID times about their jobs and obviously all the uncertainties. So we both kind of supported each other and helped each other go through this lockdown. And other than that, I have a pet golden retriever who has been a major help for me. He's the one person. He's the one dog. I'm sorry. He's the one dog who's really helped me in this time. And I don't know what I'd do without him. He's been a major help. And regarding activities, two things that I find like the stress relieving activities for me are playing the piano and exercising. I think physical fitness and physical health is extremely important, and it might not be given enough attention right now because we're stuck at home. But I don't let that stop me, and I try to do as much as exercise as possible so that I could be physically and mentally fit. Because I'm someone who's a sporty person, so I've always played some kind of sport. So to be stuck at home is obviously a little frustrating, and it makes me a little anxious. But I try to channel that stress into stress relieving activities like exercising, playing the piano, and doing online courses. I am really finding things very interesting with my online courses.
Oh, that's really good. And I will now ask Rajashree to take over because I know she has got some piano clippings, and we will also show something that Prathit does. So over to you, Rajashree.
Yes, I'm very proud of the two children who are with us today. And not only are they prefects of the heritage, not only are they very brilliant children in academics, but they're very well-mannered, well-balanced individuals who are outgoing there, very caring, and the respect they show. So it's really trying to help everyone that, things can be achieved, even in the middle of lockdowns, even in the middle of uncertainties, even in the middle when no one knows the answer to any question, you can really achieve by supporting each other. And things like, as we've heard, physical exercise, things we've heard, spirituality, meditation, yoga, music. Madam has already presented a song to us. They are the incredible skills. So these are not just skills on pen and paper, they are skills for real life. And it is my extreme proud moment to share a beautiful piece of music which Anamika has sent to us to be shared with our esteemed audience today. So let me try this skill of mine now. Technologies can be challenging for us occasionally, but I hope today we should be absolutely okay. And here's for all the audience.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Absolutely. And
you.
Anamika, you have to continue playing this no matter, wherever you are in this world, you have to continue. Because I used to play the piano at your age, and that's one of my greatest regrets that I haven't been sort of being able to continue.
Could you have restarted, Didi? But we do need to say that, 2 episodes before, the audience did hear you play the piano.
No,
So
but
you actually
that
have
was
these
all
stuff.
rubbish. That was
Which is
straight
No.
rubbish. I mean, if I had continued playing all through, then it would have been
We
a
would have lost you
different.
as a psychiatrist. You would become a professional pianist. So I'm glad
Well,
you're here still with us.
well, anyway, Anamika, you must not give this up. Wherever you are, you must carry your piano along with you.
Thanks,
Well, I'd
Anamika.
like to say that the pandemic hasn't really stopped any of us from learning the piano, because right now the technology is so advanced that there's so much online. There's literally everything teaching you online. So I learned this piece in a few days online.
Really?
So yeah, it's nothing stopping us at this point. As long as you have technology with you, there's no limit.
So she's
Well, that is
also,
very good.
yes, I want to
you,
share.
Anamika.
Yes, I want to share also that she was in the school team for the swimming and represented West Bengal for the ASISC national level swimming competition. Anamika, a great achievement, great experience. Like many Heritons, you've made us very proud. Is there any particular moment of that you want to share from that event that you went to?
Well, it was the whole experience was extremely nerve-wracking, and to find, I think over there when I went, I just realized how driven people can be and how hardworking people can be. Like I practiced a lot and I worked really hard for it, but going there and seeing the kind of people over there and seeing that a lot of them didn't really come from very privileged backgrounds and from very well-off backgrounds. And they all came, and the one thing in their mind is swimming, and they worked hours and hours for it. And it was very inspiring. Like, I admit I didn't win, but I didn't go to win exactly, because in my mind I learned so much from seeing the people who were there. It was very inspiring, and it was a great experience, because even though swimming is an individual sport, how the team has helped me, our whole West Bengal team, my school team, and we went with each other, and how we supported each other, because obviously it is extremely nerve-wracking to see people who are double your height and people who are so strong standing next to you and competing with you. So the whole time my school coach was there with me, the school team was there with me. So it was a very enriching experience to see how driven people can be and how hardworking people can be. And it certainly inspired me to work much harder than what I usually do to get where I want to go and to fulfill my goals.
You will certainly reach your goal, Anamika, wherever you want to go, and all our blessings are with you always.
Thank you.
And I wish we could hear more and more of you guys, but we know time is little at a cost. But I want to therefore go over to Pradeep, because I remember one day I was in the principal's office for a specific event. We were doing this walk for mental health from the Indian Psychiatric Society. And Mrs. Sapu, we used to have regular meetings, Ma'am, if you remember, for those days. And Mrs. Sapu told me, you know what, I thought Pradeep's come back. I said, who's Pradeep and where has he come back from? And she said, he's just finished an internship with none other than Kiran Bedi. And he qualified for that. And Pradeep, we want to hear from you. Mrs. Sapu was so proud of you, Pradeep, and we want to hear from you, your experience of your internship for a few weeks, for a month, I gather, isn't it, that you went and spent time with her?
Yes.
Tell us about your experience.
Surely, ma'am, because with regard to this internship, I've always had a spirit and a desire to be in the public services. And I've always been interested in public policy, and I've wanted to observe how public policy making is done. And so this was a scroll for opportunity, and I had been looking forward desperately to work under a policy maker or a responsible office which works in policy making in particular. So one day I came across this internship opportunity, which was under the Honorable Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, Dr. Kiran Bedi. And I had applied for that. And whenever I apply for something, I have this in mind that I may or may not get selected. So I applied for that and quite about forget about my application. So after a few days, when I got the confirmatory email, it was again, I was in the seventh heaven, because I just couldn't imagine how working under a public office, that too under Dr. Kiran Bedi, who's been such a famous personality, would be. And right from leaving from Calcutta for Pondicherry, and right from reaching there to working with public officials, to working with Dr. Kiran Bedi, and assisting on different projects, understanding what public policy making is, understanding what governance is, and at the same time getting the joy that governance, and when you do something which interests you, the joy that it gives you was immense. And I, of course, cannot describe it in words, because that has been something that I have been looking for desperately. And indeed, being a civil servant has been my aspiration. So that was something very close to my dreams, what I had in mind. So it was really, really a wonderful opportunity for me to work under Dr. Bedi's guidance, because that was where I had, and not just in terms of governance and public policy, the internship also oriented me with regard to how professionalism is conducted inside a government office, how a government operates, understanding how governance happens, how policy is made. So all that constituted my internship, and every moment when I was there at the governor's house, and all my activities happened from the governor's house, and indeed I had my own desk at the intern's office. So it was absolutely immense joyful for me, and getting all the happiness that, it was really immense and really a great opportunity for me. Indeed, even the internship even left with me, even presently, I am connected to Dr. Bedi through official communication challenges. So it was a really immensely grateful opportunity.
And you
so proud
fully
of you,
deserve
Pradeep.
that. Yes, thank you. And you fully deserve that, Pradeep. And I also know, and this is actually your friend Anamika told me one day that, Pradeep is an excellent writer. And then I checked it out with my children, and they said, yes, he writes brilliantly. So I thought Pradeep is going to recite today for us a poem of his own writing.
Surely, ma'am. Ma'am, since I was in this period and I saw one of the most vulnerable population to the pandemic was the migrant laborers who weren't looked after and who weren't cared of. And we being privileged to have homes, we being privileged to have means of living with us, I found that they were really uncared for, and we could not feel the pain that they were going through. And in that turn, I penned down a poem which I titled A Plight of a Migrant Laborer, and I have written it in a form of conversation. And here it goes. A bright summer morning, the sun at the day's behest, walking at a silent path without knowing rest, might sound like a perfect poem in a romanticized light, but to see it during the lockdown, you might get a torn, wearied man's sight. With a sack on the head and one around the shoulder, here comes a home atop its beholder. With some food or none, it hardly mattered, for with the thought of joblessness, his world lay shattered. Sahib, I said, where do you plan to go? He smiled his scorn and uttered, why do you want to know? I'm just concerned, I said, in a voice of painful delight. Babu, he said, no one can ever be concerned of a migrant worker's plight. Why would you say that? I ushered in a sympathetic note of scorn. I heard about migrant schemes when I switched on the TV this morning. He smiled again, sniffed a little, his eyes still lacking a shine. I wish, he whispered, these schemes could satisfy the need of mine. What is it that you need? I said at once, thinking greed to be his behest. All I need, Babu, is a workful wage, a day's meal, and an hour of rest. I shuddered at the thought for a moment. Reality was out of my sight when he suddenly turned to show his back, as if something he had to hide. He started to walk with steps apace, striding the path along, when I ran behind him to pat his shoulder to know what had went wrong. And suddenly he turned around, and his wrinkled face had shone under the sun's light, and that moment was when I saw that he had hid from my sight. Hunger, thirst, homelessness, unemployment, all was suddenly visible to me, but none too concrete, all consolidated under a teary plea. I let him trod his path. I did not hinder his course anymore, for I knew he will have to walk endlessly for shelter, food, and a core. I know he might fall midway. I know he might encounter death, but I can pretend it is normal for any man to face such threat. For pretending is a way of life. Pretending is so easy, you see. So why not pretend a normalcy and fill the life with an ignorant glee? Realizing the reality requires understanding of pain, death, and might, but it is easier to live in ignorance. and pretend to a success to oversee a migrant laborer's plight. Thank you.
Excellent.
That was amazing.
Profound. It is just so profound. And
Excellent.
I'm speechless. Absolutely. It is so profound.
Thank you.
God bless you, dear.
Thank you, ma'am.
Rimadi, over to you now for the last half of our program.
Okay, so we're coming almost towards the end of the program, and I would like to go back. There's a question that's been asked. The question is for Runa ma'am. Shall I read it out?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think the debate over increasing screen time is justified? I mean, children these days are anyway glued to the screens. So how can a couple of hours or two hurt if it is productive?
Well, screen time is a little bit of a concern, but if we, space out the screen time, with a lot of, if we give a little break in between, like suppose we have 2 classes and then we give a break. As I said, we have brain breaks and, fun breaks, whatever you say, and give them some productive learning. I think it can be an off and online kind of a system where you can give them, say, if it is a 1-hour class, you give them a 30-minute online class and you give them a 30-minute offline class where they, do their worksheets or they write their answers. So, if we do this hybrid pattern, I think it should not affect, it will affect, I know. But then even then taking the best out of it, I think if we space it out properly, I think it would help.
We have talked about students and the online teaching challenges. What about the teachers? I mean, they must have been going through a lot of stress. They were the ones who had to learn technology. They were the ones who needed to get a proper connection and proper equipment. I mean, get a good laptop or whatever, and learn new techniques and sort of, manage the home front.
Absolutely.
I'd like to share some, I mean, they were huge, I think they have not really got the kind of appreciation from the public at large that really they are. Also, could you share maybe 1 or 2 stories of the challenges that the teachers face?
Yes. We at the Heritage believe thriving on 3 E's, We think of empathy, we think of evolution, and we think of engagement. And our teachers, come what may, they have gone ahead with this digital transformation going, they have met the challenges of their own children, their home front, their family, no house help, and yet, with a smile on their faces, they came and sat for their classes, all because of one thing: the child's learning is at stake. So they have been so committed to their duty. I'm so proud of all the teachers across the world, and I'll share one story with you. We've during this pandemic, we've had teachers who lost their parents, who've lost their in-laws, due to different reasons. But no teacher, took away from class. They went and sat for their classes. And, just last week, there was a teacher who teaches in the middle school who lost her mother at 6 a.m. in the morning. We got this news. And at 8 a.m., she was there invigilating for the examination. I mean, I just can't believe it. And then we have another teacher in the pre-primary section who's been detected with cancer. And she's been advised to do a chemotherapy. And there she is in the middle of the day taking class, in spite of the doctor, telling her to take rest because of the side effects. So these are, superheroes. They are brave hearts. I really, I do not know what kind of words to, utter to appreciate them. There is nothing that can, appreciate their efforts. So, they are truly brave hearts. And of course, our children are also brave hearts. We've had children who've had COVID, and in spite of that, they're giving their examination. We've had children whose parents are in hospital with COVID. They are also giving their examination, attending classes with a smile. So, it's been a very trying time, but I think everyone has risen to the occasion. And, I have to say that, my appreciation and my, my humble gratitude to all these relentless figures and to all the gurus across the world. I say, I offer my pranam to you because you've been the forefront fighters for the education system. The education system wouldn't have been there if you hadn't been there. So this is my.
Absolutely. And I think one of the most important things is that because of this lockdown, a lot of people have lost their jobs. Teachers in a lot of schools are not even getting their salaries.
Yes.
And yet they are there day in and day out teaching the students. They are out there managing their own family problems. And they are doing it because they love their profession. It is because they are so concerned, as you just mentioned, about
Yes. Absolutely.
really, this is where it is absolutely a very, we call teaching a very noble profession, and this is where you realize how noble teachers are when they're doing this without any sort of even if they're not being paid, even if they are having to put in far more effort, because prepare for these online classes, they have to put in a huge effort.
Huge.
It's a huge amount of time, eye strain, back pain, etc. So really, they're absolutely doing a wonderful job, and it is also, heartfelt gratitude to all the teachers out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we just got another 5 minutes. So both the students just passed out ISC. I think there was a lot of discussion in the newspapers regarding the results. So would you like to share your experiences as to what was your reactions when the results were out?
So personally, what I saw about myself and my friends is that we had set the bar a little low because we didn't know what to expect with the papers we hadn't given yet. So the fact that some of like my friends and I, we got above 90-95%, we were satisfied and we were quite happy with it. There was a generally low trend of marks in English, which was a little disappointing to some of us. Other than that, we were happy that with the unprecedented times and with the uncertain times to get this much marks and to be personally satisfied, that was what we were happy about. Some of the students, of course, some of the marks were a little unjust for some people, and they've sent it back for rechecking. So we were relieved that it was finally over, but there was always this thought that, what if we gave these exams and we would have done better, and our marks would have been better. But given the uncertainties of this time, the fact that we could this happen and the ISC was beneficial to all of us, I think that itself was it was fine that we were finally over with it. That
right.
was
Relief, a very big relief.
Yeah, it
yes,
was a big
that's
relief.
a very mature way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And what about Pradeep?
Ma'am, indeed, as the uncertainties were there, and as you said, the newspaper every day used to roll out a column which one day predicted that this day, this might the decision be of the ICSC. So the time period of the declaration was really, really anxiety provoking. Because every day waking up in the morning, the first thought was, let me check the newspaper if there's any more news, if there's any final decision from the ISC. And of course, there were predictions that the evaluation will be through pre-boards mark, the evaluation will be 11 and 12 marks together. So that was very anxiety provoking. And indeed, at that point, I'd like to mention that our school came in and helped us in getting over this anxiety, and Principal Ma'am had a session with us talking about what the uncertainties are and how the exam would go ahead. So that was really a tough time. And I remember getting anxious over the prospect of what if the exams are conducted, the exam results are on the basis of pre-boards mark. I may not get, because my pre-boards were particularly not that great, because just before the pre-boards, I was invited to represent India at SAC. So that was a very difficult time. So it was a lot of uncertainty and a lot of puzzling going on. But ultimately, as Anamika said, that when the results came out, there was a bit of a satisfaction that the answer.
He's stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, the school really reassured us and told us that there would be an impartial way, a proper way of giving you guys the marks that you deserve. Principal Ma'am did talk to us, and she told us that they're trying their level best to make sure that we get the marks that we would have gotten if we gave the papers. So we saw that happen. A lot of us saw that happen, which is why we were satisfied with the marks that we got. We couldn't have asked for more, basically, at this time.
I think, yes, this is a very, talking to the students, I feel they have gained hugely, like Una ma'am had said, in terms of resilience, adaptability, there was a huge amount of personal growth. I think these students, because of the times that they went through, and I think be there for life. The experience that they gathered of facing a challenge, of facing a crisis, of being able to, continue to function despite plans going haywire. So it's been really lovely talking to all of you, and I almost wish I could go back to school and go back to Heritage to gain this kind of experience. It's been a wonderful learning program for me, and thank you so much, Una ma'am.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rajashree, for getting all the background information and organizing this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rima ma'am.
Thank you to all the audience who've been watching with us, and all the teachers across the world, all the students, all the administrators of educational institutions, and above all the parents. And finally, in the words of Catherine Dunham, I'd like to leave a little prayer for all of us. Go within every day and find inner strength so that the world will not blow your candle out. Yes, it is tough. The times are tough. But may the candle for everyone be lighted, and let us each help to light those candles. So on behalf of Crystal Conversations, it's goodbye for today. Till for the next episode, Shobai bhalo thakben, shusto thakben, abar দেখা হবে. Thank you.
Thank you.